We're all good to go.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. I will call to order our February 16th regularly scheduled Lawrence County Prison Board meeting to order. Christine, will you call the roll?
District Attorney Lam Makusa.
Here.
Controller Prestapine.
Here.
Commissioner Vogler.
Here.
Commissioner Spillier.
Here. And the others are absent. Okay, which would
Do you
be,
want me to read
yes.
them off? Commissioner Boyd is absent, Judge Watto, and Sheriff Valero.
yes, okay, we do have a quorum, so we can continue. Item number 2 on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the January 19th, 2022 meeting.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes will be approved. We will go into the housing report, the population report with Warden Maulmeister present.
As of this morning, we have 99 inmates. We have 15 females. We have 11 inmates that are located in other facilities as far as for court or separation purposes. We're housing 2 at other institutions. We also have 11 state inmates that have been sentenced and are awaiting transport to the state institution. The last 2 trips have been canceled due to COVID reasons. They've been rescheduled for next month. So we have 11 sitting over
I
there.
apologize. Did you say next Monday or next month?
Next month. So.
Thank you. That was my bad hearing, not you. Thank you.
And that will have to be coordinated with, of course, COVID testing because there's the regulations with that as well.
There's some of those inmates we've tested twice already. And we were waiting for transport and then got canceled at the last minute. So.
Thank you. Great.
Commissioner,
Yes.
may I ask a question that's related to the population report?
Sure, no, absolutely.
Warden, and maybe we need a full prison board to have this discussion, but the possibility of federal inmates, have you looked into that any further?
Yes, I have.
What's the, like, is that a real possibility?
It's a real possibility.
How would that
house
work?
federal inmates.
How would that work?
I would make the contact. I would actually have a meeting with the feds and set up and determine the number of inmates that we wanted to house over there at the institution.
And then do they pay per inmate?
Yes, they do.
Do we have adequate programming to meet their needs so that we qualify?
Yes, we do.
Is this something that you would want the prison board to consider?
Yes, I was going to present that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. We'll wait. Okay.
And if I may, looking at the minutes, we did have this discussion last month. And it's according to minutes. My question was other counties, but Mr. Lamancusa's question obviously is federal, which is certainly a good question. We did note that the judge felt that at the time we were in lockdown, and it might not be a good idea at this time, but you indicated it'd be a possibility in the future. So
I can definitely open up one of the housing units over there that would give me 63 beds to house federal inmates. Pass these out to you.
Sure.
would that also include, along with the federals, would it include potentially other counties that are having space issues? Thank you.
Yes, I can definitely look at that, but currently I don't hear or see any other counties that are in dire need of bed space.
I see.
There's other counties out there that are housing federal inmates at the current time.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it was maybe a year ago, Loretta, you and I were at a meeting of the regional county commissioners, and I thought Elk County at that time had an issue, but maybe that's come and
Right,
gone.
I remember that.
Is my
because
memory right?
We talked about it and I think the conversation led to, well, we don't know about like transporting that far
True.
to get to
That's
Lawrence County, but we did throw it out there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for putting that together, Gordon. Something for us to look at. We will then go to the approval of the bills. We have our controller, Prestapine here.
I will make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Okay.
May I ask just a quick question? on the first page, REST period equippers. Do we know what company that is or what the purpose of this $35,000 expenditure? Does that ring a bell with either of you gentlemen?
Restaurant equipment.
Restaurant
Restaurant
equippers.
equipment.
I remember
Something with the
getting
kitchen?
the invoice for that for kitchen
Those were
replacements.
for our tilt skillets in the
Yeah.
kitchen. The tilt skillets were out of date and unrepairable.
I see.
So those are tilt skillets that they basically use in the kitchen every day.
Very good. Thank you all.
Sure, sure. Any other questions? No? So we have a motion. I believe the DA seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Very good. Okay, the bills will be paid. Old business, I don't have anything other than we had discussed about the housing the other inmates, and this is just something that we can review and maybe bring up more formally at our next meeting.
I did have one matter if you're,
Sure,
we discussed the jail intel position.
yes,
And I had sent over a memorandum of understanding to Solicitor McGraw, and I sent a copy also to the warden. I think that was distributed to you folks. I'm not sure if it was or not. Solicitor indicated that he was comfortable with the language, and I believe, Warden, you were also comfortable with the language.
Yes, I was.
okay,
What we would need in order to do this would be, since I already have the position on the books, since I already have an open detective spot, it does not necessitate a salary board. It would just be a function of transferring salary line item from his budget over to our budget. And the way we drafted this, I'll just give you the brief overview.
sure,
It's, we would hire one full-time detective to fill the unfunded detective position within our criminal investigation division. They get all rights and benefits any other detective. They'd be assigned to serve as the intelligence operator or intelligence officer at the jail. They will remain a detective in the DA's office. However, they are required to abide by all rules and regulations of the LCC. They have to work a schedule as provided and set by the warden, not by us. He answers directly, or she answers directly to the warden for all matters related to their assignment and any other matter that the warden assigns to that person. The detective shall answer directly to the captain of criminal investigations unit, that's our unit, concerning all matters related to their continuing status as a law enforcement officer only. So that's qualifications, put in your paperwork, just the stuff to maintain their certification.
okay,
But we don't want to exercise any control over the position. We want it to be a position of the jail that the warden controls.
right,
LCC will agree to transfer all monies allocated for employment. All equipment in the possession of the LCC that is required for the performance of the intelligence officer position shall be provided to the assigned detective. However, ownership will remain within the LCC. So anything that they give to that detective will still remain their property. And then I reserve the right to recall the assigned detective for any significant emergency need. You know, some sort of catastrophic, like that day we had protests at the courthouse. You know,
Right.
that's it.
right,
The effective date will be the date that it's signed. It will continue indefinitely until such time as either party notifies the other of their desire to terminate. The agreement may be terminated by either party on a 30 days advance notice. And after such termination, DA will agree to transfer any remaining annual budgeted monies for the employment of the intelligence officer. So this could not be a situation where you guys transfer the money, I turn around and hire, and then I say, okay, I'm pulling out of the agreement, thanks for the extra detective, because what you would then do is you would defund the position according to the agreement, and I can't pay for the detectives. They would
Right.
essentially be terminated. Not that we would do that,
Right.
but just to make sure everybody's covered. Warden, you were satisfied with that, and I know that you're using a counselor to cover
Yes, sir.
this part. Is this something that you're looking for some sort of expeditious action on?
Yes, I would really like to get that filled as soon as possible. It would definitely help out in all aspects.
Okay. I don't know what the next step is from here.
I don't either, and my only concern, and our solicitor, of course, is not here, because it's not, does it have to be specifically listed that we are going to act on this with the new sunshine laws, the right to know things, that since I only have old business on the agenda, did I need to have a sub
I don't
line
know. Yeah,
stating that? And I don't know that.
Attorney Medora is the expert on that.
Mhm. And they're,
There's a provision in that the revision of the sunshine law. There is a provision that in the event of circumstances which necessitate, and this is not the language they use, but would necessitate quick action for some type of a reason,
right,
that we are able to move in that direction. And I would submit non-legal opinion, obviously, but from the standpoint of risk, from the standpoint of necessity, from the standpoint of safety, maybe we could make that argument. But I look to you, Mr. DA, because you are an attorney.
Well, I would further argue that this is the overall purpose of the Sunshine Act is to make sure that things are not being done in secret without people having the ability to have a public discourse.
Mhm.
This is something that we have discussed.
Yes.
It's fallen under
Yes.
old business.
Mhm.
We've talked about
we
it.
have,
So it's
correct.
it's not a sub rosa agreement that we're engaging in
Okay.
right now.
In
It
other words,
is-
you didn't bring this up today for the first time.
and
Right.
said, right, this is, we've talked about it. We, of course, will have an opportunity for the public to make any comment. And again, this really it boils down to just a budgetary transfer, which I'm not even sure that's up for public debate.
Right.
Well, that,
You would have that at your meeting.
yes, it's the commissioners' meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. The transfer aspect of it would be the commissioners at a public meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
Which then, so maybe that's the time that it would have to be placed on the agenda
Mm-hmm.
to this discussion, but for
Right.
the purpose of the prison board, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you have the position, or you're doing filling a position
Falling
in office.
Right,
yes,
okay,
And that understanding is assigning them to the jail.
correct. It's just their duties,
Right.
which I I have discretion to assign my people. And so I can sign this
Okay.
agreement with the commissioners. Well, then I guess my formal request, not in the form of a motion, would be that it be placed or considered to be placed on the commissioner's agenda for the budgetary transfer at your next meeting, which would then give you sufficient time to advertise it. And then if there was a question related to it, a member of the public could bring that up.
The meeting, of course, is next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We're obligated
Mhm.
to
we'll have our agenda set,
on Monday.
yes,
And I would have to rely, since I'm out of town the next 2 days on county business, between the two of you,
Mhm.
if you can make that happen, I'm sure you can.
yes, absolutely.
May I
Okay.
ask the controller a quick question?
Absolutely.
It goes back to salary board, just to be certain from where you sit. Do you see anything that has been said so far that puts into your mind, maybe something, we do have to do something at salary board? I haven't heard
No,
anything.
because the position's already, he already has the position in his office, it's vacant, it's already created in his office, and it's already, that part's already been done, it's a
Right.
vacant position in his office, he just be filling a vacant position.
There's already monetary value set to it,
Well,
we just
yes,
have
well, yeah,
to, we just have to transfer.
the position's a
the
union
jail.
position, so the salary's already in the
Gotcha.
contract, the position's been created, it's in his office, vacant. And the only problem is there's no money in his budget to pay for it, which is what the
Right.
budget transfers for.
Which we can correct on Tuesday.
Correct.
Okay,
Is the warden and the district attorney aware of and satisfied with the salary figure that's listed for that position?
I can't speak for the warden, but I would say that since it is going to be a detective with full detective powers and responsibilities, that they must be bound by the same contractual relationship that all other detectives are bound by.
True.
So I'm always going to argue for more money for my people, but when it comes to what is the fair salary, it is fair that they earn exactly what the other detectives
right,
earn.
okay,
Yeah, that's already established in the union
Okay.
contract.
So once again, where you sit does not necessitate salary board action.
And there also won't be any I don't know the scenario. I guess maybe if the warden felt there was some sort of need for it, but I don't even think there's gonna be an overtime draw from this position because,
That position now.
no, so it won't impact anything there.
Oh, let me just, okay, further it. So does it require, since it's a union position, that it be placed for bid for other detectives to bid on?
That's a good question.
That's a possibility. I'm not sure what the contract reads.
Well, I can tell you the other, I mean,
I don't know.
they're not gonna bid into the position because our union, the detectives union is small. It's only
Correct.
within my own
Right.
office.
It's only
Right.
like this Jordan had.
But yeah, I guess we would need to know that to at least send an email to everyone saying, hey, is this something you're interested
To
in?
appropriately post it,
Yeah.
right?
Right, I mean, either way, even if somebody in his office would want it, then they would go over there and he'd still be hiring somebody for his office. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's
regardless,
just going through the process,
Yeah.
I'm just going, in my mind, every union position has to go up for
if there
bid.
is a big all that will determine which one goes in his office and which one goes to the jail.
Right.
Because as you just said, it's within that union only,
Right.
that
Yes.
bargaining unit only.
The only people who are in that union are the detective in his office. Nobody's only, how many you have? 5?
Then they're not gonna rotate to the
Right.
intel position.
Yeah,
Yeah. But maybe we have to at least make the offer. So
okay,
that's easy for me to do. I can go back to the office, send a mass email and ask if anyone's interested in transferring. If they all respond in the negative, does that fulfill our obligation to?
I
would
would,
say so.
Unless the contract says you have to somehow post it. I know for some of the unions,
Yes, they do.
right, Dave, it has to be actually
Yeah, I'm not sure
physically
how that one reads,
posted.
but usually it's some of the other
I'll
ones.
review the contract then.
Yes, there's normally a, like, posted for 3 days or 5 days. Whether that one says right, I don't know, but the other one, some of the other ones do.
I'll pull the contract. If there's a posting requirement, I'll let you guys know when I effectively posted it,
right,
which will be via email. And then we can wait the period. Well, if today's Wednesday, it's a 3-day period. It's not gonna
we're
matter.
set before the commissioners meeting anyway, so that, okay,
We're closed.
Well, you can still do the
Closed
transfer
Monday,
at the
Monday,
meeting.
yeah.
You can, regardless of the bidding, you can still do the
Okay.
budget transfer, because like I said, all it's gonna do is, if somebody were to bid on it, they just go to the jail and he's still hiring somebody back
correct.
to take that person's place in his office, so regardless,
Right.
the positions are gonna be full and they need paid for, so.
So we'll just move forward as we need to, we don't need a motion to
You
do
just have to
anything.
put it on
We
the
just
agenda.
Put it on the agenda for
transfer.
the commissioners meeting for Tuesday for the transfer, and you'll take care of any union issues that there may or may not be with posting.
Yes.
Right. That takes care of the old business.
And forgive me, Loretta, the document that you had put together and has been reviewed or will be reviewed by that obviously was a matter of public record and we can enter it into the record as part of today's meeting. Is that correct?
Well, I think that you would have to probably address this at your commissioners meeting because you're gonna have to sign this.
Okay.
Because
The
if
union have to sign that too?
no, it's just it's an MOU just on no, the union would not have to sign it because I have the ability to dictate work assignments per the contract. And so this is the work assignment that this detective will be doing. And then the warden has to sign too, which by the way, we better put commissioners on here. I know it's an agreement between you and I, but it's the county.
Loretta, thank you in advance again, since I'm going to be out the next
Sure.
2 days. Thanks for taking care of it.
Right, we'll do that and see what it gets done. Excellent, very good. And new business, I have nothing here for new business. Visitor comments, we are being live streamed.
Is this new business or?
Is this
Any
new business?
visitor,
These federal things, is this new business?
That is new business. I mean, I was asked at the last meeting to take a look at housing inmates. And I just gathered that information, not just supplying.
For review with it. And again, if I know that we have several of the news reporters are watching, I can make that available to them if somebody wants or the packet or if somebody wants to speak with you, sending it.
How do they get here?
Well, that's going to be from what I'm understanding is they're asking us to do the transports.
So we would have to transport, what, is it a one-time transport? So when you say federal prisoners, That means we could be housing someone that was federally indicted in Idaho.
It would be in this federal district where they would either go to Pittsburgh or possibly Erie. A lot of these federal cases are held down at the federal courthouse in Pittsburgh. So
it would be in the Western District
yes,
of Pennsylvania. That's the federal district. So
Yes.
the Western District.
We wouldn't have to go across the country to pick them up.
we wouldn't be going across the country or across the states.
Well, then if we have to do the transports,
Right.
right now that only leaves one alternative unless a second is created. The one alternative would be the sheriff would have to do the transports.
Yes.
And what's the frequency of the transports? Do we know? I mean, obviously there's going to be
Yeah, I haven't actually met with them yet. I was just getting preliminary information to share with the prison board today.
oh, okay.
I mean, there's always another option of us creating a transport team for the prison where the officers can actually transport.
That may be cheaper than using the sheriffs.
So,
And I don't want to speak for the entire prison board, but these are some of the things that maybe you can get some answers to. And when you come back to us, present like what's the frequency, how many inmates. I see it's a lot of money that the county would be able to, to benefit from. But knowing what are our responsibilities associated with this.
I can definitely get that information together and get it back to the board as soon as possible.
Dollar amount
Definitely.
caught my eye, the $97.90
Right.
per inmate per day. Number of you have been on the board long enough. You remember when we were housing the state technical parole violators, the TPVs. That figure was in the $60 range,
$65
wasn't
a day
it?
or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So this is quite a bit higher, which is enticing for me at least.
Absolutely.
And it looks like from the quick read, these are all federal inmates that are pre-trial.
Yep.
So these are,
Sentenced.
they're not sentenced. Okay.
Now, you said you have a block that has 63 beds. Would that, if we were to, I mean, I'm not going to answer this, but would we talking like 5 or 10 prisoners, or would that block be full? I mean, is there a potential for
Well, as you
50
know,
of them?
as you know, I currently have 2 housing units shut down. And it's my intentions to move the female inmates and place them in another unit that's closed down right now, which would open up the 63-bed unit that I can utilize just for federal.
Are there enough federal inmates that we would be able to fill that there?
Yes.
Are the and if you don't know, maybe Josh does. Are these individuals, since they are in the federal court system, are these extremely violent people, or are these more civil white-collar crimes, or do either of you know?
So the federal detention system works a little bit differently than the state system. So when you get arrested in the state of Pennsylvania, the judge has to consider when they set bond on you. They have to come up with an amount if they're going to set bond at all. In the federal system, it doesn't work like that. It's either you're detained or you're not. And so typically the individuals that get detained are if you are on federal parole and you commit another crime, then they detain you. So that's one classification. But if realistically, the other classification is we've deemed you to be dangerous. And so therefore you are detained.
Okay.
Your typical drug dealer type of cases, those guys never get detained. Whereas in state court, bond would be set. The feds look at it, if you're not a direct danger to a person or the community or to yourself, they will not detain. That's why detention is a lot lower in the federal system than setting a bond is in the state system. So yes, we would have to have, you obviously be just like your guards are now, they'd have to be prepared for possibly some bad guys coming to the jail.
The same type of inmates that we're currently housing.
Very true.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you both.
And I think we're in just a general agreement to look further into it and allow you that opportunity.
Yes.
to do that. Yes. Did you have something else to?
Are we still on new business then? As of today, I can report that we have a full complement of full-time officers due to the efforts of Karen King and Cindy in the HR department. They've done wonders for the jail. Can't say enough about it.
Forgive my interruption, they speak well of you as well,
Yes.
Warden.
It's a great team. Yes.
We work well together, but
Yes.
they deserve a lot of credit where we're at today. We also have 5 part-time officers, which is an increase of 4 from what we had. Monday, February 14th, 2 days ago, I had set up I got a memorandum of understanding signed with the Teamsters, Local 261, to where I put 1 sergeant on each shift, 1 on daylight, 1 on afternoon, and 1 on midnight. That's to cover a captain's position because I have 6 cadets that are currently in training, and the trainer is a captain. So these sergeants will fill in whether I've got a captain off on vacation, sick, personal, or with this training captain having to train for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I was really glad to get this MOU signed by the Teamsters, and I appreciate the commissioners actually signing off on that very quickly, which I was able to put it in, start the training on Monday. That's inmate visitation. We resumed inmate visitation on Monday, February 14th. So visitation is back up and running. We also opened it up today to volunteers, volunteer programs coming in with inmates.
Pardon me, Warden. What you just said, can you clarify that a little bit for me? You said the volunteer program. Are these people that come in and offer their services?
They offer their services. They run different types of groups for the inmate.
Like counseling and?
Some of them are counseling. Some are, a lot of them are religious.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm with you now. Thank you.
Also, within the last week, we got the vending machines on the housing units back up and running for a period of time.
Great.
And I can report that there's no positive COVID cases with staff or inmates at the current time.
Excellent news. Excellent news all the way around, I have to say that, without a doubt. Being as proactive as you are with everything over there, I say thank you.
It's a team effort.
When he comes to the office, you know, with a problem, there's a solution attached to it, just like the MOU. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what's the first thing we have to do if he wants to do this? He's like, here's the memorandum of understanding, already signed by Teamster. So I appreciate that effort all the time and the constant communication with things going on. I'm happy it helps a lot.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, and I know Karen and Cindy both from HR have been diligently working, trying to get full staffing up. They've been doing that for quite a while now. And again, they say just, you know, you're being there, the availability, the professionalism. And I know you will say the same on their side as well, but you guys are a great team. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing, without a doubt. Anything else? And again, if there are any visitor comments, certainly send them through email, lsteelvogel@lawrencecountypa.gov, and we will note them, and I can return any comments as needed.
Well, may I bring something up? It just hit me, Loretta.
Sure.
As you know, at our commissioner meetings, we go a little bit above and beyond the legal requirements for visitor comments. We allow visitor comments at the beginning of the meeting and prior to adjournment. I'd like to recommend that we consider the same format here. Of course, it would be up to the rest of the board members, but that we have a period of visitor comments right at the outset and then prior to adjournment, so that it would be similar to what the commissioners do. I think we do the same thing for retirement board and salary board. And I'd like to propose that, but obviously whatever the rest of the board might think.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I honestly do not.
It makes sense.
Okay.
I will say, fortunately, at the commissioner meetings, no one has abused it. We've
Yeah,
had
they
people that
have
come in
not.
and have chosen to comment maybe at one of the two,
Mhm.
or sometimes both, but no one has ever
Mhm.
taken advantage of it, so. Thank you.
I'm not sure, absolutely. We'll just note that in the agenda for next month. I don't think we have to take a formal vote or anything on that. We're just add it to format. Okay, excellent, very good. And that brings us to either our adjournment or going into executive session. Is there a reason anybody would want to go into executive session?
I move to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Second?
Okay, motion in a second. Any other comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign, that motion carries. We will go into an adjournment for our official prison board meeting and return to executive session. North County Prison Board for February 16th is adjourned. Okay.
You know how to,
I think I just shut it, right?
no, I think there's a button button.
Okay.
There's a button on the top there.
I think that's
Up here,
circle up
up top.
When I just close it out.